Well, good evening, Sunday night, and beginning week 3 and wrapping up week 2. And first things first, I want to apologize for being so late and getting some grades put together for the first week's discussion board, the first graded discussion board, which was last week. No excuses. It was the startup week of the first semester on campus, which is always pretty much of an adventure. And we got a lot of things going there, and I did not get to it as planned, and as such I will probably be a little faster and maybe a little less stringent than I might be otherwise. I have to pay a penalty too. When I'm late with work, the only way I can pay a penalty is maybe giving you guys a little bit of a reward here. So I really want to thank everybody who participated so well. And what I really want to mention generally about the discussion board is I really appreciate the fact that you guys are taking to heart what I asked you to do and trying to think up there on the plane of an owner, a league commissioner, those kind of things, not the sports fan. I know it's really tough. It's really difficult, and because I think of all the interest we have in sport, we wouldn't be taking this course if you weren't interested in sports, and it's a very difficult thing to do. But just to recognize what's going on from the perspective that I've asked you to is very important, and I thank you very much. Okay. A couple of things going on this week. When we go into this week, you're going to see we're moving into chapter 4 in the textbook. And when you look at chapter 4, it probably scares a lot of you. It still scares me because I expect to remember everything that goes into all those charts and graphs and definitions and economic terms and all that kind of stuff. And in the beginning I did ask that we remember that this is as much an economics course as anything else, and asking you to back up into your economics knowledge. But what I think you're seeing here is that we've got this situation where the big topic this week is the market power that teams and leagues have. Why did leagues start? Why were they formed? To protect teams, protect territorial rights, to literally, it's an extension of that profit maximization question I asked in the discussion board last week, which we'll come back to in just a minute. But so this week, again, kind of see if you can't wind your way around all the charts and graphs and everything and look for the message that was in the text. Okay, why were leagues formed? Why are leagues good for the sport itself? Are teams better off to be in a league or to be in an independent? And this extends right through professional sports and right into some amateur sports. We'll see a lot of parallels to what went on in the past to what's going on today and what we're talking about. And I say it goes right up through things like independence in college football is a great example. All the conference changes. So you kind of have to be careful with that. There's some famous stories in there. It talks about how the National League was created in baseball. It talks about the onset of free agency. It talks about how there were some very significant court rulings that affected how sports are and will be organized in the future. So this is a very important week. Now, let me back up a little bit to last week, because I asked two questions that were pretty simple. Okay, we wanted to know about, should leagues regulate profits? And clearly I got back an overwhelming no. And that's because I think we are all pretty much, I'm making the assumption, pretty dedicated free market capitalists. We believe that a business should earn what it can earn, and that nobody should regulate that. But then I think several people mentioned concepts such as revenue sharing and how is this done, and is that a way of regulating profits? it's an interesting concept. And then I went on to ask, well, should a team and a franchise try to make profit above all else? And I think a couple people said, well, the key phrase there is above all else. Is it just a business, or? And then a lot of you did a very good job of diving into looking at what makes a team profitable. Very interesting to me how often the name Jerry Jones popped up, and talking about the ability to develop different revenue streams and how he's brought college game contracts into that stadium. I mentioned in a video earlier how Alabama and Michigan played the opener of the season in Dallas, Texas, far from either campus. So that was an interesting one, and the whole idea of, is a profitable team a good team? Can a bad team be profitable? Can a good team be unprofitable? And where we didn't go, and actually where the text doesn't go that deeply, is, sometimes I like to talk about, particularly when I was teaching finance a few years ago, I used to ask people, would you rather make a profit or would you rather make money? And a great example of what I'm talking about is the New York Yankees. And I'll back up for a minute. Most people, when you ask them that question, say, would you rather make profit or make money? Generally, the first time I go around the room, most people say, make profit. And then we start looking about, into the issues of, what's that really mean? And I try to explain, well, what can you do with profits? And people say, we can invest, we can pay our bills, we can do anything. Well, no, profits are what's left over after you pay your bills and everything. I'll make the wisecrack, the only thing you can do with profits is pay taxes on. Wouldn't you rather make money? Wouldn't you rather have cash generation? Wouldn't you have money flowing? And it's very interesting. The Yankees really are one of the least profitable teams in Major League Baseball, yet they generate money hand over fist. Keep that in mind as we kind of move through some of these arguments here. Okay? A little confusing, a little rambling, but the chapter itself, I think, should start to explain some of this stuff. Again, sneak around all the economic jargon and look for the message. I have a couple of videos in the week. They're a little legalistic in nature, and we start seeing some things in here about the combination of law and sport, and it's very interesting. It can look a little dry. I put it together back when about a year ago we were just coming out of the NFL strike, and there were all sorts of lockout. It wasn't a strike, and there were all sorts of legal issues around the settlement and what was legal and what wasn't. Take a look at these. I'm going to try to update some stuff during the course of the week. Of course, I say that every week and sometimes don't get to it, so please forgive me. But I think that's a very interesting concept. And then, so I want to start looking at this week, and you'll see that the first discussion question is up already. And I want to stick with the NFL and say, hey, is this, how many businesses is the NFL? Is it one business, or is it 32 separate businesses all kind of united under one umbrella? And should they act this way or shouldn't they? Are those 32 monopolies, or is the NFL itself the one monopoly with 32 cooperating partners? The concept of a cartel, look up that definition. In fact, the book goes on to say that the NCAA, for example, is an accidental cartel. So I think we have to look at those kind of things. So this is the week where we get into an awful lot of economic jargon. All right? So those are a bunch of the things that are going on. I will try to do some updating this week. And I hesitate to say the word promise, but I'm going to try to do a lot better than I have in keeping up with the grading and keeping ahead of things. You guys deserve better than you got, and I want you to know you're going to get it. Okay, so if there are any questions, as usual, please contact me. And the other thing I thought I'd mention too, in terms of form of what you're doing in the discussion board, because that's where I say most of the learning is going to take place. I really want you now to start asking questions of each other. Okay, a good post will cause other people to ask a question of you, and don't be afraid to to read somebody else's post and challenge it, ask a question, come back, ask me a question. This is how we're going to get through this stuff. Okay? So, again, apologies for getting a little bit of a late start. Hope everybody had an enjoyable time today as we get through the first weekend of NFL football. As a Giants fan, I did not have such a wonderful time Wednesday night, but hopefully that will right itself, and we'll go on from there. Okay, thanks very much.